Hey buddies, welcome to AmassGames. My name is Simon. Today I'm bringing you how to set up, play and review for the game Murano Light Masters by Matago. This is an abstract strategy game which is for 2 to 4 players, takes around 30 minutes, ages 8+. These are the instructions for how to assemble this. Let me just lift this off as you'll be playing inside the box. There are some various things inside. Well, let's talk about this initially because it's got no user tool in the game. It is even in the insert. You can check that out in that unboxing video. Other videos in the unboxing, teaser trailer videos for anything coming soon to the channel, of course, can be found in that such playlist. This, of course, is going in the How to Set Up, Play and Review playlist, along with family weight and abstract strategy games. And there are various things in this game you want to consider. Ultimately, you want to win the game by having the most lira. Everybody starts with about lira each. Everyone starts with 4, so we're going to leave 4 here, and we'll just not talk about any other players for the time being. Everything else can go back in the box. And what you're going to be doing is taking 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards that you're looking to complete, 6 if you're playing as a 2-player game. Aside from that, like I said, everything can go back in the box as we've now finished with the setup. Now, you do have these tiles. These are in what's called the warehouse, and as you can see, they can go underneath the box, but I don't recommend that because this won't fit in very well otherwise. You don't have to play inside this box lid, but it does seem to fit in quite neatly as and when you can get it in. So you're going to randomly chuck each of these different colours out, not the translucent ones. So you're going to place these out randomly into what's called the markets, these corner spaces. And then what you're going to be doing is you have this ring, you have what's called a circle here, you have a double-sided ring, so we'll just keep it this way for now, and just spin it around, and just that's going to start the game. You also have this thing called a selector, and you can have it again spun to whichever position you want. So you're going to determine the first player. Let's say I'm starting, and down here I happen to have what's called my workplace. So on your turn, you are going to do the following. You have a little player aid here that everybody can have as well. You're firstly going to rotate the selector once. So you rotate the selector once and take the 2 shards that it represents. So I'll be taking a blue one, and I'll be taking, in this case, a clear one. A clear one can be used for anything. It's the only way of taking a clear one as well. Okay, and now what you can be doing is the negotiation phase. Before I do that, there's a little bit more setup to show you. It's as and when you might want to do it. You have these various tiles out, and you're going to use these potentially to use some bonuses. So you do have these 6 cards. 6 cards, remember, in a 2-player, 5 in a otherwise 3 or 4-player game, and you're looking to complete these cards. I'll explain how they work in a moment. There's a few symbols which will trigger off here, and there are various different advantage cards that you can be using. I'll be using the base game setup initially and explain how these work. So firstly, let's try and complete a card and show you how you're going to be scoring points. So you can look through these other cards, but you can only ever complete 1 card, and it's the topmost card. You can spend 1 lira to rearrange these cards in any order you like, but for now, let's not choose to do that. Let's focus on this. So nobody else can see what I'm working on. So for now, I'm just going to leave it visible for myself. Of course, normally it would be in my hand. So I have claimed some stuff. I'm looking to complete this, which, as you can see, based on this, doesn't really help me. This one might a little bit. So what I can choose to do is exchange. I can exchange 1 shard for any number of shards. So maybe I chuck this blue shard somewhere else. Let's see where I want to try and take it from. Well, nothing's very attractive currently, but let's just show you an example. I'll place a blue one here. What this allows me to take is the respective shards in that quarter, which is a red and a blue. You can never take those clear shards. So I'll be taking a red back and a blue back, which, as you can see, wasn't very efficient a turn whatsoever. So there are alternatives to what I could be doing. So if I take that back a second, instead what I could choose to do is buy. I can spend 2 lira and buy any amount of, a number of shards basically. So I can choose for 2 lira to buy a shard, and those shards are going to come from the markets. Right now there's only 1 of each. As you saw, if I had taken that negotiate action, top one, the exchange, somebody else's turn, that's looking more lucrative. So I could have spent 2 and just taken that, which, as you can see, it helps me a little bit, but I've just lost 2 victory points, because remember, lira are victory points. So I might just choose to, who knows, I could choose to spend that, remember, and take these 2. So I've got another red back and a blue back. The next thing you could have done instead is sell. You'll sell as many as you like. You'll only get 1 lira. So you get yourself 1 point, and maybe you want to free up some spaces. I'll tell you why in a moment. Okay, so you can only do one of those things, either exchange one of your things to get 1 from those zones, or what you could choose to do is buy, Again, remember you're buying everything from a market, just as much as it can be, which is 3 for 2 lira, or you could sell, clearing out your board as much as you like to gain 1. Why do you want to be doing that? Well, when you happen to have the respective stuff, so imagine I later on happen to have the right thing that I needed. So let's say I had that. I've got 3 red and I have to have a yellow. In this case, I've got a clear one. You'll sell them off. And that's the end of your turn. As you can see, the final stage. You complete it. And now what you do is you earn income. The amount of points you'll be scoring out of lira is 7 because the difference is the amount of space you have left. Which is quite nice why these are visible. So I'd be scoring 7, that would go into my purse, and then I can choose to use that later on. So like other games, you're using what you're gaining for points, what you're spending for points, but also using it as currency to obviously drive you to go further. Once you've completed it, you could complete other things on your turn. So each of these cards always have 4 symbols on them. So at most you complete is 2. If, and I happen to do this last game, complete 2 in one go, of course everything is taken off, so you'll be scoring 8 lira and you'll get a bonus of 2. When you complete a card, you'll move it to the right-hand side. And now what you can choose to do is actually trigger one of these bonuses. Now these bonuses trigger at certain times. These are anytime bonuses, hence these symbols. These time symbols represent anytime symbols. And what I can do is turn that card over, because you can only use it once, and it allows me to take either the respective thing. So in this case, the horse, as an animal basically, and I am allowed to take myself 1 yellow or 1 blue, and it can go here. Something else you can choose to do, of course, in this one is red. In this case, what it means is if you actually want to buy something from the market, rather than spending 2, you can buy it. You can buy it for nothing. So that actually saves you some money. Let's run through the other ones. So this is quite easy. For this one, you'll be obviously getting a red or a blue, red or green. The horse we talked about, a blue or a yellow. And over here, what this allows you to do is clear out your board. This allows you to, yes, you can reduce your stuff, and actually rather than selling and getting 1, you're going to get 4. So that's rather handy. So if you want to do that, you're maximizing on that. In the game I played most recently, I didn't actually use any of these symbols apart from once, and I lost the game 32-39. I was deliberately playing with these cards as well because the other person I was playing with was a new player, and they very much enjoyed the game. I think it's a light game. I think that there's a slight of crunchiness. Because you can't see your other opponent's cards, there's no take that, like games such as Splendor, whereby you can try and inhibit their actions, and in games such as Azul. So it's simpler and straightforward than that. Some people might not like almost that lacking of a deeper strategy. Another thing you can do is if you want to, if you're not happy, so once the turn's finished, it'll go to the next person's turn, which means they're getting this. Now, anytime on your turn, what you can do is spend 1 lira to move it 1 position anti-clockwise or counterclockwise, and this allows you now to take this instead. You could spend an additional lira and do that one instead, and if you really wanted this one, eventually that's 3, a total of 4 revolutions. You're spending 4 lira to get that. So far, I haven't been really focusing on this, but I did lose the game, and I haven't chosen also to try and deliberately sell things unnecessarily. But like I said, if you're trying to stockpile and get loads of things, so imagine I had quite a few things down here, and I happen to have, let's say I had this, 3 reds, 1, 2, 3, then I could complete this card, 1, 2, 3, 4, but now I'm only scoring myself 4 compared to potentially more. So that might be efficient because my next card might be good, maybe a further card could be good. Like I said, I chose not to try and rearrange my cards, which I think was a waste, because one of my cards only, when this was differently rearranged, only had red as the final card, and I really prefer to have used it earlier in the game. There's some good variety where you can play with different specialities. So there's 16 different cards which tell you about different things you can do in the game, and they're not that much more complex than these base ones. You can see these ones in particular are very straightforward. And the iconography, you get used to it, and this negotiation one means you can only do it during the negotiation phase. And the way the game ends is as soon as somebody has completed all of their cards, then if you're the first player, then everyone else finishes their turn, allowing themselves to do whatever they can. The person with the most money, the most lira, will win the game, and if there's a tie break, it's the person who's finished the least amount of cards. So actually trying to complete cards isn't necessarily what you might be after. Equally, it's the biggest way of generating money. Remember, completing a card, at the very least, will get you 4 victory points. Aside from that, there's variation here. As you've seen, this wheel, this ring, can be switched around as well. Of course, these will be in different positions too. And yes, of course, you can have different cards dealt out. Like I said, it's not particularly taxing. It is around, it's pretty accurate, saying 30 minutes. And that rulebook is pretty brief. It's only the fact that, of course, it is giving you some examples of these various other things, such they're all named as well, such as favoritism. Return one transparent shard from your workbench to the warehouse to gain 3 lira. So like I said, you have quite similar names. Obviously, you have your workhouse, you have the warehouse, and then you have the marketplace. So they're all very similar names, which I think could have been maybe changed slightly. Sorry, workbench and warehouse, yeah. Of course, there's some variation going on here. You do have some variation in the cards. Haven't had to trigger them too much, but sometimes you can chain back-to-back turns. It seems quite straightforward. I think you do need to typically keep quite a bit of that money out, and hopefully I might even bring you a playthrough for this video as well. I will run through one more time a turn. So let's say I'm trying to do this card, and I haven't obviously got any of these things here, and this is how it's laid out. So right now, this is a great position for me because I'll be taking a red and a yellow. You're not going to complete something on your first turn, but what I could choose to do is I could try to exchange something. So because that would be there, if it was one of each type, I could choose to, and this is quite nice to look at. It's just obviously daft that it's not used for anything. So I might choose to try and get another red. I could try to get another red. Again, these aren't really well placed, but this one is. So I could choose to take a yellow and place that yellow over here to get myself a yellow and a red. Remember though, of course, that is my action taken, the exchange action, which I thought seemed to be an efficient turn. On their turn, they could choose to buy, and of course they're buying both of these, obviously, for 2 lira. If there's a third one, 2 for 3, which of course fills up their space, but of course when they're selling, so it's very interesting. I wouldn't say it's wonky, but ideally you want to sell, only have 4 things here. Sell, you're going to get yourself 8 money. That's very interesting. Of course, this is showing you where you have your cards to complete, and that's when you've completed a card. So like I said, a 6 out of 10 rating for this. Lots of other games like it. People who've played Sagrada and stuff like that will see the similarities as well slightly. So lovely pieces, lovely glass pieces, nice to look at. Doesn't take too long. It's, like I said, it's a lightweight game, cathartic. It has that almost like Tokaido feel that, yep, you're just moving and taking stuff, but trying to really maximize that efficiency of, well, do I want to exchange something? I really obviously just want to have my fewest amount of pieces, because the more pieces you take when you complete, you're going to get fewer victory points. So it's nicely balanced. It's got some nice things going on for it. So again, any questions, please let me know. Well, hopefully that makes sense. Of course, I think the layout and the idea, there's quite a few things to consider. Crucially, rotate, take what it is, and then of course you're manipulating. You're looking to change something, get some more stuff, whittle down your hand to improve when you choose to then complete one or more of your creations. Very nice to look at. And again, any questions, of course, if you want to see more videos, subscribe, hit the notification bell, like and share, comment, and via the description, you can of course support the channel by following over 2,200 photographs on Instagram, and of course supporting via Patreon. Speak to you soon.